I got to see the threesome a little bit early. Is it any good? Let's talk about it.
Sorry, did you forget something?
Other than a condom?
This is too good.
So before I start this review, if you don't know what a threesome is, you probably shouldn't be watching this video or the movie because you are too young and the information would be too much for your brains to handle. So kindly leave a like and click off the video until you're older. Alright, now that it's only the adults here, it's time to review the first movie of September, which is The Threesome. And I will say, after seeing it, this month is already off to a very, very great start. I really enjoyed this movie, and we have a lot of other movies coming out this month and this week to look forward to, so hopefully that those movies don't let me down because I'm having a very strong start to this month. And I'll say this movie, you'd go into it expecting it to be, kind of corny, kind of silly because of that title, The Threesome. It's kind of awkward, who wants to go to a movie called The Threesome? But it really isn't like that. The movie kind of starts with, this guy and this girl, and then they get another girl, and what happens after that. But then after that, both of the girls end up getting pregnant, and then it gets more dramatic. It kind of turns into a drama mixed with romance and, some comedy. But the first 15 and 20 minutes is kind of where the title plays in, The Threesome. And the rest of it, it's more, kind of beautiful, heartbreaking at the same time, and then beautiful again, heartbreaking again, and then beautiful again by the end of the movie. So it kind of isn't as silly as the title suggests, and I know that title will turn some people away. I know, this was a mystery movie, Regal mystery movie, and I did see some walkouts because people expected a different movie, and they see the title, they're like, this is weird, I don't really want to see this, it's not my thing. But if you give a movie a chance, which I always love to give a movie a chance, even if it's a really bad movie like some horrible Netflix movies, I like to give them a chance until the end of the movie. And I wish some other people would give movies chances, because I think that you should give this movie a chance. If you're a fan of romance movies, comedy, because this does have some comedy, and dramatic movies, because I would say this is more of a romance drama rather than a comedy. I would say there's like 20% comedy, because it's like The Best Friend is like the comedic relief in here. But I will say I really enjoyed this movie, and I'll be thinking about it for a while because it is very mature. As I was saying, you wouldn't think it would be this mature, but the writing and the script really takes its time to lay out the kind of the rules that this movie is going through. It talks about abortions. Now, I'm not really going to talk about abortions because I don't have a stance on that, because why should I as a man? But this movie does talk about it, and I think it does a good way of talking about it. It explores both sides. I know some people will be mad at how it handles things, because I saw some comments on the trailer for this video being like, why wouldn't you just both get abortions after that? But it is really interesting. It kind of did flip the script a little bit, because I saw the trailer beforehand and I was like, that really doesn't make any sense. But then it kind of, explains a lot more of that in the movie, and explains it in a beautiful way, a very mature way. So don't be turned off by the title. Really do give this movie a chance. The performances by the main trio here are also fantastic. I really enjoyed each and every character. The writing between all of them are just so great. They all have faults between them, the discussions that are had between them. It's so interesting. I loved how it delved into those, themes. And I want to first start with Jonah Hauer King. Who would have thought that the guy from the live action Little Mermaid is having, a pretty successful career, because he was in the new I Know What You Did Last Summer movie from, I think it was 2 months ago. He was pretty good in that, and he's just terrific in this movie. He's the main male lead in this movie, and I just thought, he did a fantastic job. I'd say this is his best role yet. His emotional work here is terrific. There's one scene in the third act of this movie that just got me extremely, upset and heartbroken for him. I'm not going to go into any details of what happens in that scene, but it is really sad. And, I just thought he did such a great job handling this movie and this role, because these roles are pretty hard. I'd say that the three main people they got are terrific. Zoey Deutch being the next character in this movie. She's Olivia in this movie. She's one of the girls in The Threesome. I love Zoey Deutch. I think that she's just an amazing actress. She's probably, the most well-known person in this cast, the one that works the most. I loved her in Juror Number 2, where she also played someone that was pregnant, so that was kind of funny there. But yeah, I love Zoey Deutch. She's yet to disappoint me with any of her roles. I think that she does a great job at picking her movies. So, I don't have much more to say about her, but I will say Ruby Cruz, she is probably maybe the MVP of this movie outside of Jonah Hauer King. He has the most to do. Ruby Cruz has the least amount to do, but I felt her impact on the screen much more than anyone else. Zoey Deutch's character, I just thought that Ruby Cruz's character Jenny just had such great writing around her. I thought that she just performed very well, and I only knew Ruby Cruz from 2023 Bottoms, which is full blown comedy. So I didn't know that she could do dramatic roles this well, but I just thought she was terrific on all fronts. And I'm hoping that she, has a lot more movies after this one because I enjoyed her here. I know she's probably in a couple other things before this, but she was amazing in Bottoms, and she might be my favorite part about this movie. I don't have the name at the top of my head, but the cinematographer of this film did such a terrific job. Oh my lord. The camera work is just so freaking good. And also the lighting, oh my god. This might be one of the best shot movies of the year, and just the lighting in this movie will kind of take your breath away. It is so clear, the shots they were going for. I mean, there's shots in here that make the girls in this movie look like goddesses, and that's an extreme compliment to their beauty, but just the lighting around them. I was super, super impressed. There's a shot of Ruby Cruz standing in the doorway, the lights shining in her eyes. I was getting entranced there for a second. It was so good, because I don't complain about it enough in my videos, but some movies in these times are just lit really badly. There's not enough, bright lights, shadow work going on, and just camera movement seems to be on the downfall, especially with lighting. Wicked, sorry about that. But yeah, this movie just had it all for me. I thought the lighting and camera work just worked so well together. Flawless. If you're not entertained by the story or the script or the performances, you're going to have a fun time looking at, the lighting and different scenery that was taken in this movie. So overall, The Threesome might sound like a weird and cheesy and corny movie, but it's extremely heartfelt and written in a very mature way that made me just fall in love with it after like 30 minutes. I love the direction from Chad Hartigan and was very pleased with the story that he took with this one. And I even wish that it was maybe like 15 to 20 minutes longer, because it is only like an hour and 40 some minutes. I wish, he went at the extra mile there and made it like 2 hours. 2 hours 5 minutes, because some dramatic and romance movies do take that extra step, and I feel like it would have been really good for this movie to explore those relationships even more and spend time with these very interesting and well-written characters. As I said, I love the camera work and the lighting, and the performances by Jonah Hauer King, terrific. Zoey Deutch, she's always amazing, and Ruby Cruz, who might just be the MVP, and I'm gonna have to keep an eye on her and watch everything that she's in after this, because she is just a really amazing actress. And I recommend taking time out of your day and going to see this movie. Don't be turned off by the title, because it is really great. I'm gonna give The Threesome a strong 8 out of 10. If you enjoyed this review, as I said, make sure to leave a like, as it does help me out a lot, and it's free to do so. And if you want to see more reviews from me, hit that subscribe button. That's going to be it for today. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.